What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this week's exclusive segment from the greatest podcast on turf. I'm Ryan.
I'm Anthony.
And for this week's episode, we're going to be talking about some of the bigger quarterback controversies in the league. Cam Newton, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco's. Also, be sure to check out the podcast this week where we talked about our top offenses,
top five
defenses.
We had a special guest on, our buddy Jake. He came on with us, talked some sports, talked about his trashed Pittsburgh Steelers on there, trashed them a little bit. The Pittsburgh Steelers, we trashed them. Just a few quick announcements before we start. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And this video will be coming out Monday, the 28th of June. And we're taking the rest of the week off. We'll be back the following Tuesday. Coming back, we're announcing the greatest podcast on turf, Fantasy Football League. So our next exclusive segment that comes out after this and next podcast, we'll be announcing greatest podcast on turf, Fantasy Football, how to get a chance to enter, to come to the draft, be in the league, all that stuff. We'll be announcing the full details for that. Is there anything else we got to touch on?
Before we get into it, be sure to check out our sponsor, Literally Pizzeria. Best cheesesteaks in Delaware, best pizza, best place to hang out. Come get some food. He's the cook. He's the man.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Literally, link in the description. New website. The greatest podcast on turf is getting their own section of the website pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that. All our links will be on there pretty soon. All our links in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And
should we start with your Patriots?
The Patriots, they suck.
That was cool.
I don't need to. I'm not gonna go much into detail about this one because I think it's pretty simple. You guys have been following us since the draft and before the draft. You guys know where I stand on this one. It's pretty much Mac Jones versus Cam Newton. But we also have Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham. Brian Hoyer's probably getting cut. Jarrett Stidham is hanging on by a thread in the quarterback competition in practice somehow. Our quarterback room's not very good. I think Mac Jones is terrible. I think Cam Newton should be the starter. I mean, sure, Mac Jones is having a good training camp. Oh, big deal. He sucks. He's not that good. Damn. Where do you stand on the Patriots?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of benching quarterbacks season one, but I think I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one. Cam Newton can't decide of a barn if he was standing in one. Cam Newton can't throw the football. He can barely run it anymore. The Patriots offense is struggling. They brought in receivers to throw the ball to, and I don't think Cam Newton can get it to Nelson Aguilar 30 yards downfield. Just throwing it out there. Mac Jones is the guy. If he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. But you build up a solid O-line. You build up a receiving core. You build up a tight end core.
Where's a trash can? Mac Jones is here somewhere.
Basically, rookie quarterbacks usually struggle when they don't have an O-line, when they're getting sacked, when they have nobody to throw the ball to. The Patriots have no excuse. They have an O-line. They have solid tight ends to dump the ball off to. And he got Nelson Aguilar.
Below average receiving room. We have a below average receiving room.
Tight ends are above and O-line's above.
Running back room's decent. About average. We have a top 3-5 offensive line in the league.
Okay.
Yeah, but Cam Newton should be the starter. He's getting a full training camp under his belt this year. He didn't have one last year. He got COVID.
You're not winning with Cam Newton.
A little bit of a year.
You're not winning with Cam.
I'll tell you right now, Mac Jones. We're not going to win with Mac Jones either. So
but you're going to find out. You're going to find out.
I guess we're going to be.
You're going to find out.
If Mac Jones our starter, we're going to be a bottom team with the Eagles and the Texans and the Steelers next year.
If you don't start Mac Jones, you're going to lose this year with Cam, and then you're going to lose next year with Mac, and then you're going to be stuck.
We're going to be stuck anyway if Mac Jones is the starter, so
but you'll figure it out
Cam Newton a shot.
You'll get Spencer Rattler.
I'll take it.
Start Mac Jones?
No. How about we not start? How about we just cut Mac Jones? Save the money. He signed his contract. Give him a couple $1 million and cut him because he was a waste of a pick.
He's like Brady. You saw the pictures. You saw him smoking that cigar. He's a stud.
I saw Joe Burrow smoking a cigar too.
He's a stud.
Enough said. I don't have much else to say. Cam Newton should be the starter. I think Ryan thinks Bum Jones, Trash Can, he's standing over there. Sup? Should we move on?
Yeah, go ahead.
You pick this one.
Let's go with Bears fans love us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the Bears.
Probably not.
We got Andy Dalton versus Justin Fields. I think this one is
this one should go without say.
It's kind of tricky because the right answer is to start Justin Fields, but I'm worried that if you start Justin Fields, he's not going to succeed. You got a Bears offense that is absolutely horrible. You got Allen Robinson, David Montgomery, and that's it. Don't say Darnell Mooney because he has not proved himself one bit. The O-line isn't very good.
The O-line sucks. David Montgomery's not very good.
If you start him, he might be in trouble. And look, if you start him, you're going to win more games than you're going to start with. Then you're going to win with Andy Dalton. But the right play might be to sit this season out. We saw rookie quarterbacks sit out, and they come back in the next year. Pat Mahomes, one of them. Not saying he's going to be Pat Mahomes, but the Bears' offense is not in a good position. It's not in as good a position as the Patriots are with Mac Jones. Justin Fields, he has one weapon, and he has no O-line. Good luck.
I kind of agree with you on this one, honestly, but I don't think he'll sit out the whole season. I think he'll be the starter before week 5. If Andy Dalton comes out and plays how bad I think he is, if Andy Dalton comes out and somehow starts 3-2, even 2-2, if Andy Dalton doesn't start 0 or 1, I think he could stick around and linger as a starter.
Andy Dalton's new name is going to be Ofer this year.
Ofer?
Ofer.
Nah, I think Justin Fields, I definitely agree that quarterbacks are going into better situations. Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence,
everybody.
Mac Jones,
Kellen Mond,
debatably Zach Wilson,
Davis Mills.
No.
That was a joke. That was a joke. Zach Wilson is definitely in a better situation, but
I think that I do agree. I think Justin Fields should be the starter. The Bears coaches love him. Everything I've heard coming out of that camp, they love him. They're very high on him. But Matt Nagy is still committed to Andy Dalton, which I see why. You bring Andy Dalton in. They have Nick Foles on the roster too.
QB1 baby.
They have a 3-way battle. Honestly, Nick Foles, Super Bowl champ. Remember?
Best QB room in the nation.
Seriously. 10 years ago, Andy Dalton and Nick Foles. But no, I definitely think Justin Fields should be the starter. Not a fan of Andy Dalton. I think he's a bum, but I think Andy Dalton will be the starter. I agree with what you said about the situation. I think they're trending in the right direction. I think Darnell Moody's in for a breakout year. Said it last week on the podcast, link in the description. Be sure to check that out if you haven't, by the way. Darnell Moody's in for a breakout year. Allen Robinson's out. They did draft Tevin Jenkins. Not as big a fan as him, but he's a very big upgrade of what they had before.
That's fair.
Their defense kind of took a step back. They lost the corner, Fuller, to the Broncos. Touched on the Broncos more on the podcast. Again, link in the description. Be sure to check that out.
Smooth like Skippy.
Peanut butter? But yeah, moral of the story, we both think Justin Fields should be the starter, and
no. But
I think Justin Fields should be the starter. Ryan thinks it should be Andy Dalton, but I think it's going to be Andy Dalton.
Talent-wise, Justin Fields. Situation-wise, Andy Dalton.
Yep.
Let Andy Dalton get smacked 10 times a game. I don't care.
As long as it's not Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Even though he's not better than Trevor. I think we should move on.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to probably one of the more, the bigger quarterback controversies in this throughout the offseason and camp so far. Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater. This one's simple for me. I think Drew Lock should be the starter, and I think he will be the starter. I think them bringing in Teddy Bridgewater pretty much says to Drew Lock, if you don't play good, if you don't come out and start out a good season, have a strong year, you're done. We have a backup option. I think that's all it says. I don't think they're bringing Teddy Bridgewater in to be the starter week 1 unless Drew Lock has a very, very bad training camp, which it seems like he's having a solid camp so far. So I think Drew Lock will and should be the starter. I'm not all for giving up on quarterbacks after one rough year, their second year in the league. I think Drew Lock's going to be fine. I do think Teddy Bridgewater is a great backup, and if Drew Lock does come out and play bad, and I'm wrong, Teddy Bridgewater could come in. He's a proven, I would say he's a veteran quarterback. He's won before. He won in New Orleans. He was decent in Carolina last year. He has experience, so I think Drew Lock will be the starter and should be, but they have Teddy Bridgewater as a great backup option if Drew Lock doesn't pan out how I think he will.
Drew Lock will start week 1, but he has a very short string until he's benched.
Yes.
They're not going to let Drew Lock miss the playoffs on his team.
No.
The team is stacked. The offense has weapons. The defense is top 10. I'll give them that.
Top 5.
I'm not arguing that, but they're top 10. Teddy Bridgewater will get them to playoffs. He will get them to a wild card spot. Drew Lock can do it, but he can also be so bad to make this team not be able to do it.
I agree.
And it's that simple. Teddy Bridgewater can game manage enough to get this team into the playoffs. We saw Ben last year, Big Ben. Game manager is what he is, because that's how good the defense is. The Broncos defense
Steelers
is going to be
suck.
similar. The secondary on the Broncos is top 5. I'll give them that. They got Von Miller. They got Bradley Chubb. The defense is going to be there. You just need a quarterback to get the ball to the weapons. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Melvin Gordon,
Tim Patrick,
Javonte
Williams.
I think Tim Patrick was cut.
No, he signed a franchise tender, I think it's called.
Did they cut him and sign him back? Or Hamilton was cut?
Kareem Jackson, they cut Kareem Jackson, the safety, and signed him back.
They definitely cut one of the receivers. Anyways, they have offensive weapons. You just need a game manager. If Drew Lock comes in as a stud, look out for the Broncos. They could be a little dangerous. I'm not a fan of Drew Lock, so I kind of anticipate Teddy Bridgewater coming in around week 7 to get him to that push into the playoffs.
I would say the over-under for most of these quarterback battles, I would say like 4 or 5 weeks. Like, I would think it'd be like 4.5 weeks.
I think Tua came in like week 6. Week 5,
really?
So.
I'll take the over.
Say 7.
7?
I'll jump to the next one. This is a more ridiculous one.
I think this is one is an absolute joke, and I think there's only one right answer here.
Actually, let's go to the more realistic one first, and then we'll
Okay.
end on the joke ones.
The 2 joke ones.
You got Trey Lance versus Jimmy G. Yes, this one is tough. I'm going to resort to keeping Jimmy G as a starter. Like I said, I like benching rookie quarterbacks in their first season. Nothing against rookie quarterbacks. I think it's just a smart thing to do. Trey Lance has not played a lot of football. He only played about, 11 games in his college career at North Dakota State. Those guys ain't playing Bama. They're playing cuts down. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Trey Lance ain't ready for the NFL. What division? He ain't ready for...
D1 AA.
What division is he in? Who's he with? He's with the Cardinals? He's with JJ and Aaron Donald?
Yeah,
He's not ready for that. He's not ready for that.
The 49ers team is good enough, though, for him to be ready for that. Trey Lance, we talked about it on the podcast last week again.
No.
Link in the description. Trey Lance is walking into arguably the best situation out of any rookie quarterback.
But he's also going up against Aaron Donald, JJ Watt, Chandler Jones. Shall I continue? Good thing I'm not, because I kind of ran out of names. Anyways, Trey Lance should not be started. Week 1, it should be Jimmy G. He's good enough to game manage. If the 49ers team is as good as they say it is, it should be able to get you to the playoffs. You don't want Trey Lance out there getting smacked by Aaron Donald.
I don't think you want any quarterback getting smacked by Aaron Donald, but that should go without say.
The valid point there.
I'm more on the opposite side of this one. I think let me start. The 49ers, they're more under the radar team. They're they say one thing and they go the other way. We've seen it in the draft before. A couple of years ago, they had the Bears convinced they were going to take Mitch Trubisky, so they got a bunch of picks back to move back one spot, and they never planned on taking him in the first place. They did the same thing this year, traded up to number 3, kind of like, oh, Mac Jones our guy, like we love Mac Jones, and then they blindsided me and stabbed me in my heart and took Trey Lance. But I think Trey Lance is going to be the starter 100%. I think Trey Lance does a lot of things better than Jimmy Garoppolo does.
I agree.
Jimmy G's a veteran, sure, whatever. He's been in the Super Bowl, whatever. I just don't think if they wanted Jimmy G to be their starter, I don't think they'd trade up to number 3 for a quarterback. It's just me. I think that Trey Lance is in a good enough situation where he can come in and succeed with the team around him.
Didn't the Chiefs trade up for Pat Mahomes?
Who was their quarterback?
Alex Smith.
Who was terrible, by the way.
What is your point? They sat Pat
My
Mahomes.
point
They
is
sat Pat Mahomes.
that Alex Smith was a lot better than Jimmy G was at that point, and Trey Lance is going to be the starter.
You lost me 100% on that.
Nope.
You just called Alex Smith trash, and
They're
better.
both trash.
Listen, the Chiefs traded it up to go get Pat Mahomes and sat him for a year. 49ers can sit Trey Lance for a year. It's the smart play. It's the
49ers are ready
long-term
to
play.
win. The 49ers aren't ready to go long-term. They have a team that they can go play
A
back
rookie
in the
quarterback will never win a Super Bowl. I'm sorry to break it to you.
Well, when Trey
Don't
Lance
start.
does it this year, when Trevor Lawrence does it this year, we'll see.
Let's just jump to the next thing before this gets ugly.
All right, let's just do this one real quick. This one's not even a debate. I just think it's funny. Jalen Hurts versus Joe Flacco.
Give me Joe Flacco.
I can't
Week
believe
4.
this is a real debate. I could definitely see Joe Flacco getting in the game because the Eagles are bad and their GM is probably the worst GM in football. I don't know how he still has a job. I've done Madden franchises better than what this guy's done with the Eagles. Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter, but if Jalen Hurts doesn't play good, the Eagles are kind of quick to jump ship on a quarterback. The new head coach came in, said that he doesn't know who a starter is. He's not going to name a starter. So I definitely think we could see some Joe Flacco, but I think the starter is going to be Jalen Hurts, and I think it should be Jalen Hurts.
I'm going to be on the positive side on this. I'm starting Jalen Hurts, Boomer Sooner, obviously. And I think he's also a sleeper quarterback this year in fantasy in the late rounds.
No.
He can run.
The Eagles are going to be a bottom 5 team.
Yeah, but bottom 5 teams like garbage time. Jalen Hurts can run. He's going to get you possibly a rushing touchdown. He's going to get you yards rushing. The weapons have increased. Miles Sanders is going to come back healthy this year. Devontae Smith is there. Travis Fulgham. I know these guys aren't great, but Dallas Goedert's also there. They have a decent team. He's not that bad.
They have Hurts too, still.
The team is not that bad. Like I said, I think he's a sleeper quarterback. If you're down there in the 14th round and you're sitting there with nobody, take a shot on him. Just me.
And then
let's end on the best one. Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill.
I'm not arguing this. If you're smart and you're knowledgeable enough for football, you know that Taysom Hill should not be the starting quarterback for the Saints. Taysom Hill's not a quarterback. Jameis Winston should be and needs to be the starter. Enough said.
Taysom Hill is sorry. Jameis Winston is actually a decent quarterback if his decision making was alright.
Taysom Hill is a sorry bum.
I think Jameis Winston is going to have a good year this year.
Yep.
He's the arm talent's there, decision making's not. Taysom Hill sucks.
Yep, enough said. Don't have much to say on it. I think that's going to wrap this one up.
This is going to wrap up this week's exclusive segment from the greatest podcast on turf. Be sure to check out our podcast this week where we talked about the top 5 offenses, top 5 defenses. Also, be sure to check out our sponsor, Literally Pizzeria, best cheesesteaks in Delaware.
Enough said. I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, subscribe, keep showing us love. Don't forget we're taking a break. We're coming back, jumping right into fantasy football. The greatest podcast on turf, Fantasy Football League. We'll see you guys after vacation.
See ya.
Peace.